This is, as of yet unnamed podcast, episode number 2.
No. This is Spooky Dooky, and I'm Cher.
I'm Davey.
David, what do we got going on today?
So this week, we decided to go to the depot, the Union Pacific Railroad Depot here in Cheyenne, because we didn't have time this month to actually go and stay at a hotel. So we decided to do a shorter one where we could just go and visit during the day and then, talk about it. And I did the research on this one because Cher did the last one. And so I know everything about it. Cher doesn't know anything about it. Mm-hmm. And we're going to walk through it.
Yeah. So. All right. Take me there.
Okay. So the depot here in Cheyenne, we'll hopefully have some pictures up because truly an incredible, beautiful building. It was built in 1887, 20 years after the founding of Cheyenne, which is the town that we live in. And at the time, it was considered to be the most beautiful station between Omaha and San Francisco. People praised it for all kinds of different reasons. It was the largest station west of Council Bluffs, Iowa, also, which is supposedly where the line really started when they were building west. It started in Council Bluffs and came west, and then this was the biggest station that they built along the way. It is built out of sandstone from Fort Collins, and it was overseen by the Masonic Grand Lodge here in town when they built it.
Interesting.
They anointed it, which is pretty cool. And it stood as it is until 1922, when it was first renovated, and it was lengthened. They added a western wing onto it, which is now the restaurant complex.
Okay.
So that part is newer, but still pretty old. Mm-hmm. And then it was renovated again in 1929, where they added in the Art Deco interior that it currently has, and kind of updated it in that way. And then it wasn't touched again until 2001 to 2006, when it was modernized and made into the building that it is nowadays. It was officially given over to the city of Cheyenne from the Union Pacific Railroad in 1993.
Okay.
And that's when they finally decided to make it into a museum, make it a historical site instead of making it just a functional train depot, right? Mm-hmm. And it hasn't had any passenger trains since the 70s, unfortunately. But
it's still late, though.
That is pretty late, but it still functions as freight trains and stuff pass through all the time. We know that because we can hear them. They sound off their horns sometimes.
Yes, and my father-in-law actually was a conductor for the Union Pacific.
Right.
So.
Yeah, he used to work there.
Mm-hmm.
Did he ever have any experiences?
I didn't ask him, but I doubt it. I really doubt that he did. He's a pretty serious dude.
Yeah, he doesn't seem like the type.
Nope, I don't think so.
So yeah, beautiful historical building. One of the most important buildings in this town. They specifically built it at the very end of the same road that connects straight up to the Capitol, and they built it facing the Capitol to kind of, mimic the two buildings and make it indicate how important to the town that this building was.
That's interesting.
Yeah. So there's a street that runs straight from the depot straight down to the Capitol building to this day. But that's all I have for the historical thing of the building.
So I did hear, this was kind of a funny tidbit, I know I'm trying not to listen and hear things prior to visiting, but we're both from Cheyenne, so it's going to happen. So I did hear from a tour guide that I met that they joke that the reason that it's facing the Capitol is because the Union Pacific and the legislature wanted to watch each other because they both did some shady business.
Oh, I didn't know that. That's interesting.
It's probably not true, but it's kind of funny.
It's just a funny...
Yeah, it's kind of hilarious. Yeah, but very interesting.
I believe it. I doubt that either of them were on the up and up. So.
Yeah.
So, as I mentioned in the last episode, I have some requirements that I like to look for when it comes to a haunting. Mm-hmm. That I kind of look for before I can consider it to be a legitimate haunting. I would like it to be a person who is named, who has a time period, and who was definitely murdered in the building, who we can, that's confirmable. That's provable based on history and public records and all that stuff. So that's kind of what I was focusing on when I was doing the research. But I found 2 people that fit this bill.
Okay.
As well as a bunch of other, unconfirmable kind of random ghostly effects that may or may not be caused by them in the building. So we're going to go kind of through the timeline here. As I said, the building was built in 1887. Approximately in the 1890s, we're not quite sure. Supposedly there was an old man who attempted suicide in the basement. Again, not confirmable. We don't know his name. We don't know anything about him. But that's what I found. He also supposedly didn't succeed in committing suicide in the basement. He was discovered or something, and so he didn't die. But because of that, there was then supposedly this haunting in the basement that started really like approximately 13 years after the building was built. So it was built in 87. This was in 1900.
13 years?
Approximately. It started before that. But this, in the article, they kind of played it up.
Interesting.
Because in the article, they even said that people have been experiencing this for years.
Okay.
It was always around the Christmas season that there would be howling and, like, dripping noises and, like, scrapings and stuff in the basement. Right?
Oh, jeez.
Yeah.
Okay.
A lot of interesting things. And when we were there, we found the place where this supposedly was happening in the basement. We didn't get down into the basement, but we did find the place where people said that they could hear it through the floor. It was in the part of the museum that has a big train scale and a lot of baggage piled up, and supposedly it was under the floor there. They could hear this.
Oh, okay. We did not hear anything.
We did not hear anything. We didn't really get much on the EMF either. Yeah. But it was interesting to see the spot where they supposedly said that this happened.
Is there somebody here with us? If there is, just, touch that green thing. Oh, you're doing it already. Great. I'll step back. They said that noises used to come from the floor here, moaning and sounds of dripping. Was that you? Were you that ghost? That was a long time ago.
Are you the gentleman who was killed by inmates? Are you the angry spirit?
Are you a cat? That's what a lot of people said the noises were.
Yeah.
But so at the time, there were a lot of people who very cynically considered that it was probably a cat, right?
Okay.
It was like yowling in the basement for whatever reason. And there was actually an investigation done by a reporter from the newspaper at the time, and he also said that it was a cat. He was there for 6 months. He talked to a bunch of people. He went down in the basement. He looked around. And he found a cat. And so, this one may or may not have been debunked already.
Or it could have been a residual haunting. Maybe like the energy, the negative energy of the gentleman trying to commit suicide.
And that's what the believers say, right? Is that it was something to do with what caused him to want to commit suicide.
Yeah, it could be a negative energy too. So, sandstone has actually been known to be a conduit.
Really?
Yeah, so like sandstone, I think limestone has been known to be like a conduit.
See, limestone makes a lot of sense because it's made out of like shells and things from like ancient creatures. It makes sense. I say makes sense as if like, any of this is real. But anyway.
Yeah.
I didn't know that, but the building is entirely made out of sandstone from Fort Collins, as they said, so.
Yeah, that makes sense. I'm wondering if it comes from like the river too. Because waterways is also a conduit.
Well, I thought water was like a grounding force.
No, it can be a conduit.
Okay,
Yeah.
interesting.
Like if you have a well in your house.
Oh, like you do?
Like I do. It could be
It could be.
a little conduit there.
Okay. So the next thing is supposedly around 1910, so 10 years after the 1900s haunting. There was a yard watchman who was supposedly run over by a train. Again, we don't know. We don't have any confirmation on this person. Maybe this was real. Maybe this wasn't real. But according to some sources I've found, supposedly dozens of people have died in the train yard. Just
I believe that.
Yeah,
It
just
happens.
accidents. It happens. It's a very dangerous profession.
Squeeze.
Yeah, well, that did happen to a different guy. But supposedly, lots of people have died on the property. It's a very dangerous profession. So maybe all these people are still there. We don't know, but as I said, none of them are named. None of them are confirmed.
Yeah, and I'm wondering, like, if partially it can't be confirmed is because, like, they kind of would hire anybody.
Which could be,
and
well,
so they're like, eh.
And there were traditionally a lot of homeless people that just kind of hopped trains, in and out. That was even like one guy who we'll talk about later. That was his entire job, was to make sure that like people weren't getting on the trains and stealing things. And so there were lots of people in the train yards that just weren't documented.
Weren't supposed to be there. Interesting.
So what does he do?
He doesn't do much, but supposedly where he died was fairly close to where one of our actual confirmed ghosts did die later on. So that's the next one that we're going to get into in 1912. This is our first person who is actually named historically and has records about him. Lloyd J. Spar. He was a watchman. And that was his entire job, was to make sure that there weren't any people hopping on the trains, stealing things, doing whatever. He was shot in the back while he was just out, doing his rounds. Supposedly it was a very close shot because he even had gunpowder burns on his ear.
Oh.
So it was literally from like behind his head right here.
Maybe he knew him.
Well, that's what they say. So there was actually a person who confessed to the murder.
Okay.
3 weeks later, Charles Kyler confessed to killing him. He was a inmate at the Rollins State Penitentiary, while Spar was a prison guard.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So it was a revenge thing, Spar had since moved on to a different job, and Kyler had gotten out, and then he tracked him down, killed him. So it must have been a very close thing. They obviously knew each other.
Didn't have a good time.
Did not have a good time. And he is supposed to, hunt more of the tracks more than the building.
Okay.
Kind of that area where the other guy supposedly also died. But, people have heard noises. People have felt presences, things like that. And it's difficult because obviously the tracks are not open to the public.
Yeah.
They're still owned by the Union Pacific, and so the only people out there are Union Pacific employees.
Did you ever go for an elementary school visit?
Not that I remember.
I did. I
Really?
got to go.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
That's
got to
cool.
go on the tracks for an elementary school visit. It was definitely interesting to be able to see the buildings. I don't remember it though.
Sure.
I do remember I got to see the buildings, but I think it just would have been so much cooler to actually remember it because we see it from afar. So those weird, creepy buildings in the back. I've been in there, but I hardly
That's
remember
awesome.
it.
I wish that I had been able to go.
Yeah.
That sounds so cool.
So it was very interesting. I remember that, but I don't remember specifics.
That's unfortunate. How old were you? Oh.
4th grade, because
Fourth
in
grade.
4th grade
Right,
you
we did
always did Wyoming history.
Yeah, that
fourth
was the
grade,
Wyoming history
so-
unit was 4th grade.
Yeah, I should have tried to see if my father-in-law would have taken us
That would have been
on
cool.
there.
Maybe
Or
he still
Tony, our friend Tony. We should have asked him if he had any stories.
did. Tony
for
works
us.
at the rail yard?
Yeah, he does.
I didn't even know that.
Yeah.
That's cool.
So, side note. Anyway, continue, sir.
Very nice, very nice. Awesome. So it's about this time that we start getting a lot more random kind of residual things happening.
Okay.
Supposedly there are children laughing, and scratches by unseen forces that happen. There's also very specifically mentioned a man with a dog.
Get
But-
behind that.
We don't know who that is, anything about him.
Is it me?
Who's his dog? It could be you. You have lots of
A
dogs.
woman with a dog.
With several dogs. And I'm intrigued. I want to know who this man with the dog
Yeah.
is, but
It could have been a homeless person.
well, that's fair. They probably had dogs, and
I mean, they do.
well, right, but I mean,
But back in the day, for sure. Yeah.
people just didn't take care of dogs back in the day like
Yeah.
they do now. So the next one that we get to that's really a big deal is in 1935. So the previous one was 1912. Now we're in 1935. A man named Charles Barnard. This is our second confirmable ghost. He was killed in the lobby. He was a superintendent of the tracks at the time.
Okay.
And he was shot in the back and in the head 3 times by a man named Perry Carroll.
That is a name.
It is Perry Carroll.
Very Carol.
Perry was a former employee. He had been fired just a month before, but not by Charles, by a different guy.
Okay.
And so Charles was just kind of an innocent bystander, but he was still working at the place, and so Perry obviously had a grudge.
He just wanted revenge on
Exactly.
everybody.
Exactly.
Okay.
It didn't really matter who it was. It was just, he saw a guy in uniform probably and decided that's going to be the one. Perry then attempted to kill himself. He shot himself in the head with the same gun, but he failed. He lived. Yeah. And he was imprisoned, and he didn't die until 2 years later when he was executed by gas chamber.
Didn't we hear about this on the trolley
We did.
tour?
Yeah. So we took a trolley tour.
Oh my goodness.
Haunted trolley tour of Cheyenne around Halloween last month. And that was the first thing that they started with, was a reenactment of this.
With
very
children.
Murder. Yeah. With, some very... I'm glad that they had children actors who were enthusiastic about it.
They were very much so into it. I did not catch on.
Sure, yeah. It was hard to hear what they were saying and whatever. But it was...
But that's interesting.
This is the story that they were reenacting. And it was fun. And yeah, that, I like this one because it's confirmable, as I said.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Not that it's like the most interesting, but it's just...
It's pretty darn confirmable, especially with the fact that the gentleman Perry was executed in Rawlins.
Yeah.
So
we know about this. We have records of it.
Yeah, for sure.
We know that this person, Charles Barnard, died in the building. So, that's pretty good evidence as far as I'm concerned. And then, from there on, we kind of get more into the modern day. We start having less... Murders, yeah.
In the building?
Around the 1940s, there is supposedly a woman spirit who was also murdered in the building, but we don't know who it was.
Okay.
Or how she was murdered. And, from there on, there's been a lot more stuff that's added on. There's supposedly a woman in the second floor bathroom. There's supposedly a woman in a black dress. There's supposedly a man who fell to his death from painting the top floor, which you heard about.
I did.
Ghost tour.
I did. We'll talk about that.
There's supposedly an angry ghost who throws objects in a gift shop, where we were. There is mysterious laughter. There's supposed to be a man with a long beard in the restroom of the bar.
I don't like that.
Yeah.
Is it in the men's room?
Yes.
Okay, I'm like, if I'm taking a pee, and there's a man
with a long beard, that would be concerning.
No.
There is supposedly a shadowy figure that appears at the bar.
Okay.
Kind of after hours and just sits there for his drinks. And they also had a psychic who went into the building, and she supposedly encountered a person named the Mean Man. And this was the man, I kind of mentioned him earlier, who his job at the time was to hook and unhook cars together. And some newer people had been hired on. They had messed something up. One of the cars just didn't stop and squished him together.
Oh.
And she said specifically that he was angry when he died, and he's still angry.
I might have met him, but we'll talk about
You
that.
might have met him. Okay, interesting. Very interesting. Yeah. So those are some of the more recent manifestations.
Okay.
But like I say, we don't know who any of these people are.
I would definitely say that when we went to visit, it wasn't like the planes.
It wasn't. It was pretty
positive.
Yeah, there was a lot of EMF that happened. There weren't a lot of creepy feelings.
No.
It was cute. It's a fun museum. I really liked it.
You had a good time
in
the
have
model room.
Very cool models that are
dinosaurs.
With dinosaurs in them.
Yeah.
So yeah, I didn't think that there were anything felt weird about the museum.
No, and so I went on a ghost tour, which was really fun. With his wife, and we did stop at the depot, and her husband just so happens to be a brewer at Accomplice.
Nice.
And she was telling us some stories about how her husband has seen the gentleman who fell, as a painter, and apparently he broke his neck or hit his head or whatever. Apparently, historically, when people see him, especially in the corner of their eye, he just seems extremely confused and unsure. Apparently, there was a story of someone who works for Visit Cheyenne who thought she saw a painter there when they were, fixing up the place, and she was like, "Why are you here? It's closed. leave. And he said, "I'm sorry, ma'am, I must have fallen asleep." So that breaks my heart, because I'm like, he's a sweetheart,
Sure.
and he's confused, and so
Well, maybe he fell asleep on top, and that's why he fell.
I mean, that's a good point. Or like when he fell asleep and then woke up, and he's like, "I don't know where I am." And then another story was about Charlie as well.
Charles Barnard.
Yeah, I think so, but they said that it was a gentleman who was at the end of the bar.
Okay.
And they said that people at Accomplice will leave him a beer, and then they'll come back and the beer is empty.
Interesting.
So like little things like that. She did mention an angry spirit.
Oh.
Like you said.
Yeah.
So the only EMF Davey and I had was me asking, because Davey asked, he's like, "Do you not like Cher?" And nothing.
Yeah, nothing happened.
And then I asked, "Do you not like me?" And it lights up. And
Yeah.
I'm like, "Okay, thanks." And I'm like, "Goodbye." So this was over by where you said there was moaning.
Yeah.
This
It
was over by where there was moaning, you know, like the carts and stuff. So
Otherwise, we'll keep bugging you.
You want us to keep bugging you? Yes, we do. You want us to keep bugging you?
Do you want us to keep talking to you? Touch the green line.
Do you not like Cher?
Do you not like women?
before that, we didn't really get much besides "Do you not like me?" And of course, it lit up. I turned off the camera at this point, but I said, "Not many people do." So I was like, okay.
Which, you know, if that is a ghost from like the 1900s or whatever,
Yeah.
it may be sexist.
Well, remember we asked him, "Do you not like women?" And it lit up.
Did it?
And yeah, it did. And I'm like, okay, you know.
Maybe.
And I was annoying. I was going up around and I was talking and
Sure.
living my best life. But they say that the angry spirit does reside in the museum, which I would say certain times I did feel negative vibes, but I think I don't know, it could be in my head. You know,
Well,
like you're like, I know that there's something in here.
And there was like a spooky mannequin. And,
Oh God,
you know,
the whole bow. The whole bow. When you were like sitting, I was like, "Go sit in the chair," and you're like, "Okay," and you knew that I
saw
come
it.
around the
I
corner
saw
with
it.
the.
I was waiting for him to scare the shit out of me.
Yeah, that scared the shit out of me. But overall, I feel like it was a very. It's positive. It's bright. It's gorgeous.
It's nice. It's
like,
cute. You know, they have
yeah.
a train that runs around, and it's a lot of fun.
It is a lot of fun. I think they've done a beautiful job, like with it.
And you know, it's also just different vibes wise. Like at the Plains, obviously we were staying there overnight. It was
Yeah.
late. It was dark. You know, it was kind of abandoned feeling.
Yeah, very
Versus
quiet. And
This museum, which is very upkept, and there's
Yeah.
people. There was a guy at the desk. You know, like
coffee shop.
it was
a
the middle
nice,
of the day. Right?
Yeah, a nice coffee shop. How they've done it is just gorgeous.
It's super nice. Yeah.
I think that they've done a really awesome job with it because it was filled with people,
Yeah, it was busy.
which I was surprised.
Which is great.
I was expecting it to be really quiet in there, and it wasn't. Like, I don't know, nothing about it to me felt negative. Like,
Yeah.
if it is haunted, it's not bad.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which, you know, I feel like most of these ghosts, if they are real, are fairly benevolent, right? It's
Yeah.
really just like the mean man who's supposedly angry
Doesn't like me.
and who doesn't like women.
Specifically me. I was sad. That hurt my feelings. I was like, okay. It's like, you can't come home with me, but fine.
Yeah.
You know?
And
Yeah.
we did have another moment as well where we were getting a lot of readings on the EMF, but we
Yeah.
kind of debunked it. We decided that it was probably from electrical wires in the floor.
Yes, for sure.
Because we were on the second floor, and then below that there was lamps.
There was, and we even went down and we looked up, and it was close to wires and stuff. So, you know, I'm willing to say that, but when it does light up, when there's nothing there, I don't know. But it really didn't want to be messed with. So I think, you know, leaving it in peace, I'm cool with that.
That's fine.
But overall, I would say it was positive vibe. My husband worked at Shadows at the time, which is now called Accomplice. And I asked him, I was like, "Did you ever have anything?" And he said no. He was like, the most that we had was a claw machine opening and closing. But who hasn't seen.
Well, yeah.
A claw machine open and close. And then I asked the son of the previous owner of Shadows.
And this was the restaurant in the Davey?
Yeah, this was the restaurant. Our friend Grayson, his parents previously owned this restaurant, and I'm like, he worked there and was there a majority of the time. I was like, do you have any stories? And he's like, no, not really. So I feel like it, if there is something, which I bet no doubt, I'm sure there's something.
Supposedly lots of people have died there.
Yeah, and even on that street, like the women could be from the red light district that were on that street.
Right outside.
But I just think it was a positive experience.
Yeah,
so.
I would agree. I think that
Wasn't spooky.
It was spooky. Super cool place.
Plains was spooky.
Plains was fine.
Plains was spooky.
This place was even better.
Yeah, it was
nice.
a good time. Maybe if we would have gone back at nighttime, it would be a different vibe. I have been there at night. I have just never felt bad.
Supposedly you can rent it out, just like you can with the Atlas Theater. So maybe we should do that at some point. Rent it out, stay there overnight.
That would be very
do a
interesting.
camp out.
I don't know if they'd let us camp there, or at least chill there until late.
We just don't have to tell them.
Well, you just did.
Well,
you just did.
If they watch this podcast, then
that's
sure,
pretty
for
good.
sure. But,
If they watch this podcast,
I doubt that they will.
I definitely encourage everybody to go visit it for sure.
Yeah, I think so. Especially if you like models.
He loved it. He was
so cool.
He was having the time of his life. I feel like you were way more excited doing this than the planes.
The
you were
models
just like living your best life.
Made it very fun. It was great.
Did I tell you what I learned about the planes?
What did you learn about the planes?
Well, first of all, I think my husband got a haunted pancreas from the planes.
Your husband did not get a haunted.
He did not get a haunted pancreas. However, last episode was on the planes. I went on this ghost tour. Turns out Rosie doesn't like men, and I wonder if that's why you had a nightmare, my good sir.
Like I said, it wasn't a woman. It wasn't like a real woman in my nightmare. So
she could have been scaring him. But apparently, there is a man at the depot who does not like me and does not like
doesn't
women.
like women.
So
we're 2 for 2. Ghosts that don't like a specific gender.
I feel like we're gonna find more often they don't like women.
Probably, especially if they're all cowboys.
I am happy there was not like a cowboy story.
There wasn't. There's no cowboy here. There are supposedly children laughing, but
I don't
no
like that.
specific children.
I don't like that.
No specific children are mentioned.
Just like maybe residual energy.
Right.
Because you gotta think about a place where you're coming and going to, like how much energy. Like especially like even a hotel, like people are coming in and out. Like how much of your energy are you
That's true.
leaving?
Yeah. Sure. Yeah, but no cowboys and lots of women, but no like brides.
Yeah, no brides. Yeah, that's
Which
refreshing.
Makes sense. It's just a stop on the way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Well, thank you, Davey. I appreciate you researching this one.
Yeah.
This was kind of a fun one, kind of less scary.
Yeah, less scary, and like I say, shorter because we didn't really get to go and stay the night. But
yeah.
But soon enough, we'll get to another actual hotel that we can stay at, and that'll be fun. I'm excited about that one because that's probably going to be the Virginian Hotel in Medicine Bow.
That would be a cool one.
And that one is very cool.
I know nothing. I genuinely know nothing about this one. So
I've already stayed at this one.
It'll be interesting.
It's very fun.
However, my next episode is going to be very scary. At least for me.
I'm excited.
It is going to be very scary.
I think that one will be very scary because there are legitimate things in that
real.
one that are scary, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that are real, that involve real people as opposed to
supposed. So
spirits.
I'm not gonna give it away. I'm not gonna give it away.
Yeah.
But it might involve cults and murder.
I mean, they all probably involve some amount of murder. But
Well, apparently yours involves cults. The Masonic Lodge?
the Masonic Lodge is not.
I guess that's not cool.
It's a philanthropic
I
organization.
gotta take that back. I'm taking redact.
We don't know enough about the Masonic Lodge to make that statement.
You're like, redaction.
Yeah, I mean, I just thought it was interesting.
Yeah, that is actually very interesting. But yeah, my episode will involve cults and murder.
Okay, I'm excited about it.
Maybe the Union Pacific.
Could be.
Anyway, well, thank you all for watching this episode of Spooky Dooky.
Yeah, thanks so much for watching, and
Like,
hopefully you watch the next one.
subscribe. follow.
We can't do that. Our editor said that he would cut it out.
Oh, yeah, that's true. Anyway, so I'm Cher,
I'm Davey.
and thank you guys.